Hello and welcome back to Footy Unplugged. Today we'll be looking at some terrible football takes I found on the internet. There must be so many terrible football takes out there if you know where to look. And you've got to look on all those fan accounts on Twitter, you've got to watch a lot of TalkSport. So I compiled a bunch of them and I thought it'd be a bit of fun if we had a look through them all together. So let's get into it. Alright, to start us off, I've got a tweet which filled me with so much rage I've decided to make this video. And it comes here from CFC Mod. Great Twitter account. Is Reece James the most disrespected player in world football? What? I don't think I've ever heard anyone say anything bad about Reece James. Like, if anything, he's probably one of the more overrated players in world football. Like, most disrespected. When, like, Harry Maguire exists, and when Yaya Sanogo existed, Nicolas Pepe. No, Reece James is the most disrespected player in world football. Everyone I've ever spoke to only has good things to say about him. He's quick, he can cross, he can defend. The only possible negative thing that anyone's ever said about Reece James is that he's injury prone, which he is. You know, like 34% of his games in professional football came on a spell on loan at Wigan. Something like that. I might have made that stat up. It's around like 37% mark, but everyone likes Reece James, and like calling him injury prone or like suggesting he's going to get worse off the back of injuries, that's not disrespect. I hate it when like fans always think everyone else is out to get them. Like, they're not. No one dislikes Reece James. Right, next up we've got a tweet highlighting all of Liverpool's recent transfer activity regarding defenders, but excluding Van Dijk and Konate. It's so mad to make the argument of saying, oh, we haven't had enough spending if you discount our two most expensive players. And I see that argument be used all the time. Like, if you take away this person's goals, like, they're not a good player. No, you can't take away the most important thing of the argument, disregard it, and then make the argument. It doesn't make any sense. It's like me saying, if you disregard the fact that Darwin Núñez couldn't hit a dartboard with a hedgehog, he's a great striker. Like, that's not a good argument to make. You can't take away the defining quality of the argument. This is a terrible take. Again, I get actually angry reading some of these. This is a bit of an oldie but a goldie. This is someone highlighting their dream Arsenal 11 for the next season, which includes some brilliant names like Ryan Fraser, Gay, Reece Nelson, and of course Rob Holding. Imagine today if Arsenal fans were begging for Rob Holding to be in their dream 11 of the next season. If you look all over the list, there's mess everywhere. I think the only players that are actually respectable would probably be Dunk, Leno and Chilwell. Everyone else is utter crap. Right, the next one I've selected might be bait. But if it's not bait, then this is actually horrendous that a human being could have this opinion. So the prompt tweet was, name two players that are almost as good as each other but have wildly different reputations. What two players do you think they chose? Bellingham and Mason Mount. Bellingham and Mount couldn't be further apart at the moment in terms of potential and current ability. Bellingham's got 3 goal involvements in 2 games playing for Real Madrid. Mason Mount is already hated by most Man U fans after 2 games at Man United. This is a wild opinion. And Mason Mount's been dropped from the England squad. What can possess someone to hold this opinion? I'm so confused. They're also not even really similar ages. Mason Mount's like 3 years ahead of Bellingham in development. So how can they have similar careers? It's just bizarre. We've got another tweet here from 2020, which is so great to look back on in retrospect. Chelsea are not just building their attack for next season, they're building it for the next decade. But this tweet isn't from this year, this is from 2020. And the players he's highlighted are Pulisic, Werner, Havertz, Hudson-Odoi and Mason Mount. None of them are still at the club. This is especially funny when you consider thinking about all of the new players they've got in. Everyone's saying, oh, Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo will be at midfield for the next 10 years. You said that 3 years ago and no one's still there. Next up, we've got a take from a professional pundit who's probably one of the kings of bad takes out here. He goes a bit under the radar in terms of how little he gets criticised, and he should get criticised a lot more. And from Tim Sherwood. Tim Sherwood said that James Maddison wouldn't hurt him because he lacks pace, and he feels like he can mark him out of the game. Tim Sherwood couldn't lace James Maddison's boots at any stage of either their careers, even in Tim Sherwood's prime, versus James Maddison at Norwich. Tim Sherwood wouldn't be able to get near to him. Tim Sherwood was an awful Premier League player, and it's mental that he managed to play so many games in the division. We've got another one from ex-professional and current pundit, another king of the bad takes, Paul Merson. Paul Merson, before the season started, predicted Tottenham will finish in the bottom half because they sold Harry Kane. His argument was that Tottenham will score 30 less goals than they did last year because Harry Kane is no longer there. Does he think when a player leaves the team, all the goals go? No, that just means another player is in that position. Tottenham's goals probably would be higher this season if they had Harry Kane, no doubt about it. But he's completely disregarded the excellent pre-season they had under Postecoglou, the signings they had in James Maddison, although again, maybe Tim Sherwood would mark him out the game. It's just a take that reeks of bias because he's an ex-Arsenal player. Like, Tottenham have had an excellent start to the season, now everyone suddenly started rating them. I was one of the few people who was high in Tottenham before the season started. Everyone else were like, oh no, they'll be 8th, 9th. No, I'm telling you, they'll make a European spot this year. I don't know which one, and any European spot will be a good season. It's a rebuilding year for them. I've got another tweet which is pretty funny in retrospect. Players who haven't watched a minute of Saliba outside of YouTube comps talking about he's clear of Eric Garcia. Don't kid me, man. Respect Eric Garcia. Eric Garcia couldn't lace William Saliba's boots. Probably because Eric Garcia probably haven't got the ability to be able to tie his own shoelaces, let alone play for Barcelona. I remember watching Eric Garcia play for Man City, and I don't think I've ever seen a slower centre-back at the age of 20. I think it's a miracle for his career that Barcelona decided to sign him. It's no mistake that the season Barcelona finally won the league again is the season they dropped Eric Garcia from the starting lineup. I don't understand how he's managed to play for such elite clubs. He needs to go to like a Celta Vigo or something. That's his level. Next up, we've got a tweet from the unfortunately banned United Trey. RIP, my man. And he claimed last year that with Martinez and Varane, I simply can't be scared of Erling Haaland. Trey tweeted this 5 days before the Manchester derby. Haaland gets a hat-trick. I actually think the centre-back partnership at Man United is actually very good. The struggles they've had at the start of the season isn't down to their poor defensive shape. Martinez is a really good player. Varane, still obviously a great player. But Erling Haaland is Erling Haaland. And Martinez is not a good matchup against Erling Haaland. He obviously struggles against a massive 6'4" Norwegian. Any defender would. There's no shame in admitting that. I don't know how people are so brave on Twitter when beefing rival clubs before the game has been played. Like, let it play out first, and then you can give them stick after the game. I guess I kind of respect the balls though. Mitoma will surpass Neymar in the all-time rankings at this rate. One of the best wonder kids I've ever seen play the sport. Mitoma is 26 years old. What are we counting as wonder kids these days? I feel like people don't realise how old Mitoma is. It just reminds me of like Jesse Lingard, and who is it? Graham Souness says Paul Pogba needs to set an example for the younger players like Jesse Lingard when they were the same age. Also, let's consider if Mitoma was 21 years old. Even then, this is a pretty outrageous take. Neymar, despite never winning the Champions League in PSG and not winning the World Cup and all those injuries that seemed to derail his career, has still had a phenomenal career. At Barcelona, he was a top 3-4 player in the world. In terms of technical ability, either match, and he could have been one of the greatest players of all time if it wasn't for injuries and bad career decisions and lack of effort. Mitoma is still a brilliant player. Do not get me wrong, I love Mitoma. The goal he scored in game week 2, absolutely incredible. But let's not get ahead of ourselves with these comparisons to Neymar. Like, they're the levels, okay? They're the levels to this. We've got a tweet here from 2017, which is laughing at the fact that United signed Lukaku, Arsenal signed Lacazette, and Chelsea signed Morata, only for Liverpool to sign, you know, that random player called Andrew Robertson. To be fair to the person tweeting this is only good with hindsight. I feel like no one expected, you know, the 5 million rated left back from Hull to go on to have such an amazing career. But it's just funny to look back on, isn't it? Next up, we've got quite a recent tweet, which I'm actually confused on by what this person means. It hasn't been Pep and Klopp these past 6 years. It's been Pep and Trent Alexander-Arnold. That was a true rivalry. What? Do you know how many goal involvements Trent Alexander-Arnold has against Man City in the 14 times he played them? 2. 1 goal and 1 assist. One of them came in a Community Shield match. Like, Trent has been an excellent player and been overly hated at points of his career, but it's such a weird point to try and make. It was Klopp's pressing system which directly countered Pep Guardiola, and that led to all those great seasons where Liverpool pushed Man City to the wire and won the league that one year. And I feel like you could even choose better individual players to illustrate your point. Salah has always been excellent against Man City, getting multiple goals. I even feel like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain has more of a legacy in that picture than Trent Alexander-Arnold. Again, still an amazing player, but I don't get what the point of that tweet is. Like, what are you trying to make? This one is from like the start of last season. Call me deluded, but our Brazilian is clear. Who do you think he's comparing Anthony to? Like Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus, maybe even like a Vinicius Jr. at a push? No, it's Ronaldinho. I don't care if it's the start of the season. You do not compare Anthony to Ronaldinho. We've got a bad take here from the absolute legend of the game, Cafu, who when asked, Cruz or Thiago, he said Thiago. This is wild from a former Real Madrid player. I find it crazy that he'd ranked Thiago ahead of Cruz. He's probably like top 5 midfielder of the last few years. Thiago's still a good player. It's just surprising to me that a Real Madrid legend has done that. But what surprised me more was the question he was asked just before that was Henderson or Modric? And he said Henderson. What? And next up, we've got another Jordan Henderson take. Who had a better prime? Henderson or Yaya Toure? Yaya had the higher peak, but Henderson the better career and legacy. A better legacy than Yaya Toure. He got 20 goals in midfield one season in the Premier League. He's played for Barcelona and Man City. No, I don't think I've ever seen a box-to-box midfielder as exciting to watch as Yaya Toure. Henderson, good player, somehow wins the PFA Player of the Year award, but he's no Yaya Toure. And you know what? To complete the hat-trick, we've got the third Jordan Henderson take. At their best, who are you taking? Jordan Henderson or CDM of the greatest team that's ever played, Busquets? Apparently, Hendo has more to his game, and Busquets is just a passing merchant. Have you ever seen those compilations of Busquets like being pressed and his dribbling? And like, what does Jordan Henderson have to his game? He's got a great work rate, good tackler. Again, he's still a good player, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Jordan Henderson, but for some reason he's a magnet for bad takes. And I feel bad for the guy. Let's not put him on this pedestal against Sergio Busquets and Modric. And to finish the video off, I've got possibly the worst take I've ever seen. The past, Roy Keane. The future, McTominay. McTominay definitely edges it ability-wise, but Roy was a better leader. Leadership is the only thing you're giving to Roy Keane? Leadership? Not for the fact they can actually kick a football? What was this person on? The tweet was in 2021 as well. I feel like we knew that McTominay wasn't a good player back then. What? Thank you for watching the video, guys. I hope they filled you with rage like they filled me with rage when I discovered them. I kind of really love bad takes because I kind of like hate read / hate watch them, you know, it's like a guilty pleasure. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and like the channel and check out all the other videos on the channel. You might like those ones too. And if you didn't like the video, just feel free to tell me. I'm a big boy, I can take it.